We are 24 hours away from the NBA draft, and the rumors keep piling in. And one of the biggest ones is the San Antonio Spurs, because it seems like if the Hawks are going to trade out of this pick, it seems like at least the Spurs have been the ones most mentioned. Now, that doesn't always mean there aren't other conversations being had, but that definitely is attractive to the Hawks because they do own the future Atlanta Hawks picks in 2025 and 2027. The Hawks would love to get both of them back, but at least one of them. Yeah. But, the Spurs, and this is something that we've talked about on this show, don't seem to have any inclination of wanting to help the Atlanta Hawks out. And why should they? I mean, they kind of got highway robbery in that trade. Why would they want to help? Why would they want to help the Hawks back? The only pushback I have on that is the pick is much more valuable to the Atlanta Hawks than it is than San Antonio Spurs. Hypothetically, let's say we don't have our draft pick next year. There's 0% chance the Hawks just go out and blow this thing up and give the Spurs their pick. Now, if they do get that pick back, we could be having a different conversation. So that pick is much more valuable to the Hawks and will be much more valuable if the Hawks have it. But if not, we're probably talking about the Spurs picking 15th, 16th next year at least.
Yeah, and well, in the Spurs' point of view, they're thinking, we get another building block with 4 and potentially 8, and then we could package some of Atlanta's first-round picks to, kind of corral a star to pair with Victor Wembanyama and whoever they pick 4th. That's what the Spurs are maybe thinking. And Jonathan Givney told Zach Lowe, I think it was yesterday on the Lowe post, that the Spurs are really not inclined to help, like you mentioned, not inclined to help the Hawks whatsoever. Zach Lowe kind of petitioned that 4 and 8 isn't enough to get number 1. The Spurs own the 4th and the 8th pick. And Jonathan Givney pushed back, and he was like, no, the Spurs don't want to give up 4 and 8 for number 1. It's not that the Hawks can't get or don't want it. They can't get it. And the same goes for the 2025 first round pick from the Spurs, including that 4th overall pick. So it seems like the Hawks are kind of at a crossroads where it's like, this number 1 overall pick isn't as valuable as it would be in other drafts, and the Spurs are holding the Hawks' feet to the fire. And from my point of view, I think a deal with the Spurs should be shelved, should be put on the back burner, whatever you want to say, because if you can't get, I don't even want 8. I really don't even think 8 should be in the discussion. I want 4 and I want 2025 back. And because next year's draft is obviously loaded, everybody's talking about it. But even then, it just opens up the opportunities. Now you extend your runway even more than you already did with this number 1 overall pick. But what I think should be really at the precipice of conversation is if we can somehow, the Rockets, the Spurs, maybe somebody behind the Spurs, if we can kind of entice them to kind of want Alex Sarr at number 1, we can, basically do a deal with the Wizards to get very little draft compensation, but still get something while still taking what many people are saying is going to be Zachary Ariza with the number 1 pick. Wizards obviously want Alex Sarr. We get Zachary Ariza and a little bit of draft capital if we move back just 1 spot. I think that's got to be, the goal right now, because the Spurs feels like, at least from the reporting of Givney, it's not going to happen unless we once again get fleeced.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why the Spurs wouldn't want to help out the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, I don't know what the relationship's like with the 2 GMs.
They're just not they don't have to rush anything. Yeah,
but I don't see it. I mean, listen, 4 and 8, maybe that's attractive to me. I mean, to me, a lot of it has to do with what these guys like. Listen, I don't know enough about the guys that are in the 8 to 10 range to tell you whether 8 to 10 could produce a valuable starter. But if hypothetically it could, and you still like Donovan Clingan, you get him there at 4, and then you think you have a good chance at 8 to get another guy that could be just as good as maybe a Zachary Ariza. So because listen, like we've said this entire draft, the guys at the top may not be as good as the guys at 8 and 10 over their entire careers, or they could all be very similar. So if you can get 2 starters and there's no superstars in this draft, and you get 2 quality starters, that's better than getting 1. I think that's a little intriguing, but it all depends what they have these prospects rated and who they think they can get at number 8 and stuff like that. But to me, I just think they're going to end up making the pick.
I do think you shouldn't fool around. I think
they're going to make the pick.
I do too.
I don't know who is it going to be. I still think Alex Sarr is on the table. I know his odds have skyrocketed to like plus 750, but I don't think it should matter too much. As we've said a million times on this show, whether he, declined a workout or where he wants to go, it shouldn't really have that much of an impact. So I still think he's on the table. I think Rieseshay's on the table. I don't think Klingon at number 1's on the table. I still think it's between those two guys, which have been the top 2 prospects the entire time.
Yeah, 100%. It really has just been Klingon. The fact, not that Klingon has this hype as a prospect. He's a very good prospect. I don't mean to, dismiss him as a prospect, but it's really the only reason it's a possibility is because we keep getting rumors and reports that the Hawks love him and Quinn Snyder loves him and all of this. He's killed his workout with the Hawks. That's what it's really been. And it hasn't necessarily been that he's just this great prospect overall compared to Alex Sarr and Zachary Rieseshay. It's really just that the Hawks love him, and that's why people think he's in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick. Landry Fields went on 92.9 today, this afternoon, and did confirm that they had a workout with Alex Sarr on the books. He ended up declining. And Steve Koonin, the CEO of the Hawks, went on 92.9 yesterday and was like dancing around the question. And I get it. He's not basketball ops. So, he's not really tasked with answering that question. But to me, it looks like the Hawks are not on the same plan. Like those two guys are coming with different approaches in the same interview pretty much. And we're from the same organization. I know one is basketball ops and one is the CEO, but this is still looks like we're fighting like 2 different wars right now. And we're not on the same page. What I just hope is that everybody is on the same page. Everybody has conviction in who they pick, and it 110% should just be the top prospect. Me and Chase have spoken ad nauseum about Alex Sarr. I don't care who you want to play for or what. Jonathan Givney kind of did dive into why he might not want to play for the Atlanta Hawks, but pretty much every single scenario that he brings up, whether it's the Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter for whatever, Clint Capella, who is getting traded this offseason, or the Wizards' lack of spending so they have the money to pay him. It's all bullcrap to me, and it doesn't matter what he wants or what's going on with the Atlanta Hawks. They own the number 1 overall pick. If it's Alex Sarr, it's going to be Alex Sarr. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, every excuse that they've said about Alex Sarr, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, DeAndre Hunter and Clint Capella may not even be on this team.
Also, DeAndre Hunter doesn't play the 4th. Like, what are we talking about?
We don't know if Trae Young's going to be on this team. We don't know if DeJounte Murray's going to be on this team. And then if you're looking at really his career and the entirety of his career, like everybody on this roster outside of Jalen Johnson could be gone in the next 2 years. So like for him, looking at the Hawks outlook, like it doesn't make much sense when you're looking at positions because all these guys are currently being on the trade block, which is exactly what we're going to get to after the break. These Hawks, all of them are on the trade block outside of Jalen Johnson.